Hey Ringside crew, welcome to the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. And now here's your host, Joe Panther III.
Hello there, wrestling fans, and welcome to another episode of the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. I am Joe Panther III, and Ringside crew, you are in for a treat. This young lady came on the podcast last time, and she's been rocking and rolling and hitting the road and having fun with it, keeping everybody in line. You make sure you're eating their vegetables, kids. Vegetables for word and milk. Welcome back to Mother. Welcome back to Dudes at Ringside. Welcome back.
Thank you for such a warm welcome back. I'm always great to talk with you.
Thank you. So, what have you been up to since the last time we were in the studios?
Everything. I'm just I feel like I'm always being pulled in like 50 different directions. I'm so busy. I had a crazy holiday season. Oh my goodness. Um I'm also an actor, if people did not know, on top of being a wrestler. So I had this acting job from November through December, and it was like a theater Christmas performance that I was part of, and that, on top of wrestling, on top of like what we call our shoot job, has kept me very, very busy, on top of being a mother. So
Wow. So you were in a Christmas play. Like
mhm.
you sing? Also, the mother sings?
I do sing. That was not part of the play, but I do sing.
Oh wow. I was about to say that'll be another Mortal Kombat distraction. You'd be like, oh la la, and then you just hit her with a clothesline.
Yep, there you go.
You do like Little Mermaid thing. Da, 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 and then she raised her hand. Then
Like that.
then you just punch her. Bang.
Boom.
And you know what's funny? The girl from OVW, the one that
Yeah.
sings.
Mhm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Chalance Royal.
Oh God, you should have like a battle of the voices.
No, I'll let the singing thing. She's great at that. I've seen her live many times. She's really great at doing that.
She's one of the ones that like she's been on this podcast, and oh my gosh. So like, since we already got on what you've been up to, but like, is there anywhere in the world that you have wrestled that now you could say, since you've been on the podcast, we probably didn't talk about it before. Where have you been? Like, what parts of the country have you been to since the last time you were on the pod?
The biggest one that stands out to me is Canada. So the last time we talked, I was still newer in the business. I'm a little less green now. I'm not gonna say not at all, because I still consider myself like less than 5 years. I'm still green. So um, but I'm less green. So I was pretty much, I felt like, close to, not close to starting out, but when the last time we talked. So one of my biggest goals was wrestling out of the country last year in 2024, and I had the chance to do that not once but twice. I got to wrestle in Canada, and then they called me back up to do another show afterwards. So that was exciting. That was like one of the biggest checks off of my list that I wanted to accomplish.
And I really want to see you come to Pennsylvania, come to PPW where it's close to me. I would love to see you wrestle live. Be a cool opportunity to meet. I always get a super bubble in my stomach and a happy thought in my brain when I interview these people like you, and then I finally see you live, like in the ring. Like Pennsylvania is a big hotbed for like wrestling promotions and stuff like that.
Where at in Pennsylvania? Like, what big city are you at?
I'm in the Poconos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Mhm.
little promotions here. We got PPW. They're small, but they're not like ginormous. They're
Mhm.
out of Slatington, PA, and
Mhm.
their shows are always live on Fight TV. Like when they go live, they do their shows. They're always live.
Oh, that's good. Are you near Lewistown at all?
I live in Milford, Pennsylvania. That's like in the Poconos, like Pike County. But
Mhm.
I'm not too sure if I've been to Lewistown.
There's a promotion there that I've worked for a few times. That's the only reason I asked. That's
There's,
the most I've done in Pennsylvania, but
there's
that's not true. I've worked Pittsburgh a few times too.
I'm in Milford. That's like 300 miles away from me. That's far.
Yeah, that
Uh,
is far.
yeah.
Pennsylvania is just such a large state, though.
Oh,
There's a lot
people are
going
like,
on
"Have you
there.
ever been to this part, Joe?" I'm like awkwardly scratching my head like Marty McFly. Well, uh, like, I don't know. We also have Battlefield Pro Wrestling that's owned by one of the sons of one of the Wild Samoans.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
That's
I
really cool.
saw they have a Rumble coming up, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw something about that.
Yeah. And also have a women's tournament for the women's title.
Oh, do they?
Yes, they do.
That's very interesting.
Excellent. To crown their
Yeah,
first ever women's champion.
that's great. Who is it? Oh, two
They're no,
crowns.
they it's the tournament. They don't have a women's title, so that tournament will crown their first
I
ever.
gotcha. I thought you said they crowned.
Well,
It said it's
they
two
will
crowns.
crown the
Yeah.
first women's champion. So this tournament's gonna lead this tournament. I guess the show will lead into the. It's probably gonna have like you think about tournaments, like it's always like 3 shows, like never one show. That show would have to start at like 11 o'clock in the morning just to start a crown a champion. You know,
I love that. That's gonna be a good day.
I'm excited. Women's
Yeah.
wrestling, yeah. So
Mhm.
the other thing that since we've been together last we were since we hung out, um, with Liberty Pro Women's Wrestling is gonna be they're done. It's so sad. They're so sad to hear
Yeah.
that. That's how I first learned about you is Liberty. So what are some of your memories from Liberty Pro?
I love working for Liberty. And they had me on what they would consider like the last run. So, um, they had lined up a slew of shows leading up to their grand finale, and I was on the next to last one. So it was bittersweet because, all the talent that was there, it was like each group, it was like our last time going there, to get all of the talent in, um, over the course of 3 months. And we had such a bittersweet moment because we were just all like, after the show was done, we were all in the hotel room and we all crammed, like there was like 10 of us all crammed into like one little hotel room, and we were just having fun, talking, sharing our memories. And that's really what I loved about Liberty was, there was always a great locker room, a great atmosphere, and everyone there was always in such a good positive mood. We all wanted to be there, and the owner would take us in a big group afterwards. We'd usually go like get dinner or something somewhere. So it was just a really good it was a good promotion to work for. It was a really good vibe, and a lot of us were really sad to see it leave. But there is someone who has, started a promotion, and they're trying to carry on the legacy of Liberty just with a different name. So a lot of the same talents are going to be working there, and I'm actually going to be reaching out to them as well pretty soon to make that connection to try to get on that.
Yeah, when you speak to them, tell them about Dudes at Ringside. Tell them the history of Liberty with Dudes at Ringside. Everything I would like to help boost we helped with Liberty and became like friends. And I got a t-shirt from Liberty. Most people don't
Mm-hmm.
have that. I got the podcaster could say I got a Liberty Pro. My mom first was like Liberty, and then my mom was like, oh, women's wrestling. Oh, okay. And
Have
then
I had?
yeah.
Oh, not to cut you off. Sorry, go
No,
ahead.
you're good.
I got excited. No, 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 go ahead.
I have the shirt. I wear the shirt a lot, and then even though it's white, I'm like, I wish I would got the black one. All the girls got the black shirt, but this was the original, so it was the white T-shirt that said Liberty Pro on it with the torch. And then
Mm-hmm.
around Christmas time, my former co-host was like, "Joe, we got something in the mail. It's in a big package," and I'm like, "Oh God, a restraining order. We're done. We're done." He's like, "I'm gonna open it on the phone." I'm like, "Oh God, we're done. What is it? Is it paper? Is it saying anything?" He's like, "No, it's nothing. It's a box." I'm like, "Oh no." careful. If I hear a poof and then I hear and the phone drops, we're dead. So he opened the box. He sent us a Swiss Army knife with the inscribed Liberty Pro Women's Wrestling, and it had the website on it. And I every once in a while I'll toss it in my pocket to go to work. My friend's like, I need a box open. I'm like, whoosh, here you go. Here's my knife. And they're like, what the hell does that say on the side? I'm like, Liberty Pro. And they're like, what the hell is Liberty Pro Women's Wrestling? I'm like, you wouldn't understand. It's a Southern wrestling promotion just for women. They're like, only you, Joe. All the
love
women.
that.
Women love me. That's why. The girls love cats. I'm a lovable kitty. I'll protect you.
It's funny. I have the white one. They were out of black by the time I came in. So I also have one of the original white women's shirts. And it's funny you brought up the Swiss Army knife, because that's what I was going to ask when you were talking about the products. I was going to ask if you had gotten that. And if I had ever told you the story about the time I almost got arrested at the airport because of Liberty Pro.
We go on if you want to talk about it tonight.
So it was funny because that's not what was on my radar to talk about, but here we are. I love it. You bring up the Swiss Army knife. So when I was there, it was around the time they had just gotten them, and one of the shows I'd done, and they were like, here, take one. So he gives me one, and I just drop it in my purse, and I think nothing of it, and I carry on with my life. I don't really use it on a regular basis, and months later, I mean, months plural, like we're talking like 6-7 months down the road, I go to fly out to a show somewhere, and I'm at the airport, and I'm putting my bag through TSA, and just like my regular purse, which it's very tiny, but to my knowledge, there was nothing in there, and I'm like, it's just my cards, my money, and some lipstick, and they pull me to the side and they start searching me, and they're like patting me down, and they're like, "Ma'am, we found something in your bag." And I'm over here thinking, I'm like, "Oh my God, what is going on? Like, what could they have found that is causing them to like check me out? Like, what is going on?" And they go through my bag with like these like long tweezers, and they pull out the Liberty Pro Swiss Army knife. And I'm just like, oh my God, I forgot that was in there. Like, that's what I get for not like cleaning my purse out within 6 months. It's so little. Like, it's not like I had a bunch of stuff in there. So I forgot it had gotten like buried in the bottom, and it was like under my car keys, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. And I'm like trying to explain to them that I'm not attempting to smuggle weapons through the airport. And it was this whole ordeal. And I was like, can you just like take it? Like, I don't want it. Just like throw it away, get rid of it. So then I ended up telling Liberty what happened. Like they let me go, let me get on my plane after, all of that. And then I told Liberty, and I was like, yeah, I got compensated at the airport, and they sent me another one. So that was just pretty funny. Yeah. Just make sure you don't take that through the airport with you, because
they always say don't leave home without anything safe. Then you go to the airport and you're nearly mugged. You nearly get assaulted by the TSA guys. So I noticed with Liberty they were doing a lot of more like harder matches. The girls were bleeding. Did you get involved in any of those matches?
I was pretty close to bleeding on the one. I got rocked a little bit with Trent Daniels, and so I got him back too. It wasn't one-sided. And then a match not too long after that, I think, I'm trying to remember who I was with. It was a 4-way, and it was me, Cheisea. I don't know. Those days go by so fast, they were a blur. But anyways, I got kicked and a little rocked, but I didn't bleed. I felt like I was going to, but no blood came.
Yeah, the one that's been on my radar for this podcast has been around for 4 years, but we were interviewing wrestlers, and the one that I always used to bring up when Liberty Pro was Little Bit. Like I wanted to interview Little Bit so bad, like because every time I see something with Liberty, am I right? she was always champion. She always had a belt, always had either the main belt or the tag team belts with some random wrestler. It was always so funny. I'm like, ooh, this woman, she's always involved, always involved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was really cool. I enjoyed working with her, the times that I got to. And she was just, had a demand. So of course they're gonna bring her back.
Yeah. So, with with you touring and going around the country, do you have to like set a date to pack your bag, your wrestling bag, and then your suitcase and stuff like that?
Oh, I am not that organized. I'm in the middle of packing right now. I feel like I'm always packing. I feel like actually my bag is never truly unpacked. It just gets repacked with new updated items. It's just like one continuous packing. Like I'm packing for a trip right now, literally in my room. I've got my kids' stuff behind me, and if I were to turn my camera around, you see a mountain of clothes on my bed from where I'm just going through it. So I have my wrestling bag, and I have a separate suitcase. Yes, to answer your question, I like to keep them separate because I don't want things to just get mixed up, lost, forgotten, whatever. And I always bring my gear like as my carry-on, like with me. So if my bag were to get lost, like at the airport or some random whatever crazy thing could happen, I know my carry-on is with me and I at least have my gear so I can at least still work. Like that's the biggest reason I keep it all separate.
Yeah, that's always good, but there's always wrestlers that you travel to a show and you know you packed your wrestling bag, and that one seemed to go under the plane and seemed to go like Home Alone. Kevin's plane goes to New York and his parents go off to Florida. Like, and you're like,
Yeah.
no, how did my gear end up in New York? And I was not even going there. I was going to Nebraska.
Yeah, absolutely not. That's why I keep it with me.
Like, is there a special like gears that you bring with you all the time, or is it like do you have like a promotion? Okay, we want you in the blue and yellow one, like the one that's in the background today, or stuff like
It's a
that.
little bit of both. It really just depends. If I'm doing babyface, I will bring some of my lighter colored gear. I have like a soft pink and red with cherries on it
Yeah, I
kind
saw
of
that one.
gear. If yeah, and my bright blue one is also a babyface set. And then if I'm doing heel, I've got some darker sets like a dark red and black or um so I pretty much change my wardrobe based on what is going to be required of me at the promotion. And also if someone specifically requests, which really only happens with customs, not at actual shows themselves, a specific gear set, then I'll bring that as well.
Awesome. So, how many times a day do you train?
A day
Yeah,
or
I know there's like a certain like if you're leading up to like a show, do you
Mhm.
train more or less heavier or lighter?
um going up to a show, I'll train lighter because I don't want to put a strain on my body before the actual show. There's no show to where it's not worth trying to crunch in like a crazy workout, like, oh, I've got because killing yourself in cardio 2 3 days before a show is not going to help you improve in the ring. That's something that you build long term. So there's no reason to do like a crazy heavy session right before a show because you don't want to go into the show already sore, already, your muscles already tight and things like that. So I'll still work out and still, roll around and stuff, but I won't go as heavy, a couple days before the show.
Mm. Do you ever like when you're leading up to an opponent that you really never worked with before? Do you ever like Instagram stalk or go on YouTube and like super focus on their matches, or like do you just message the wrestler and try to like break bread with them if it might add like to see what they're like, what moves did they use a lot, like stuff like that.
Yeah, that's very common to do. I've had people reach out to me doing that. I've reached out to other opponents doing that because you want to know the level that your opponent is at so that you know how to work with them. You know, like you don't want to go into it completely blind because if I'm thinking one thing and they're thinking something else, we're not on the same page, you know. So trying to at least get an idea of who I'm working with, how they work, you know, beforehand going in, you know, is this you know, someone who's a little bit more green? Is it someone who's a little bit more experienced? Is this person a little bit more feisty in the ring? Are they softer? Because then I'll, you know, want to make sure that I'm able to help work with them so that we can have like the best match that we possibly can.
Of course. Do you have any stories from the ring or the road that you want to talk about tonight? Like funny stories, anything crazy, any funny that's happened in the ring, or like nothing embarrassing, just like something funny. Anything funny?
Um, Not off the top of my head that I can think of. That's probably something that like if I really sat down and thought about it, I was like, oh yeah, that was funny. That did happen. Um,
Nothing embarrassing. I hate when wrestlers like, oh, I have this story. My shorts fell down, and I'm like, that's not funny. That's embarrassing. Like some idiot kid could be going on to Snapchat going, look at this lady, her butt's hanging out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's bad.
yeah,
Bad for
nothing like
you.
that. I did have a great weekend this past weekend though. I got to have my debut at Divine Women's Pro Wrestling, and I drove up to Michigan for that.
Wow.
Um, they had a last minute cancellation because somebody was sick, so they reached out and I got to come in. So it was like a very last, it was like Friday night, hey, like, can you be here? Saturday morning, I was on the road. So it was very quick. But it was cool because I was already planning on reaching out to them and like they were on my radar. Like you want to talk about stalking? I was Instagram stalking this promotion. Like I
Hmm.
wanted to work for them. I wanted to be I'm like I want to be part of this locker room. And I'm, you know, putting together like some things to send into promoters because I want to make some debuts and work in some new places this year. And I'm also, though, like I mentioned, I'm packing, I'm going to Florida for 2 weeks. So I was like, well, I'll, you know, don't want to try to, um, like, I want to make sure, like, if I'm doing it, I'm going to do it right. So I'm going to finish my packages. I'm going to do my editing and get everything done, like, not rush it to try to have it done before I go on my trip. So I was like, cool, you know, I'll reach out to them when I get back, blah, blah, blah. And then they reached out to me first. And it was just like one of those fate moments. You know, I'm like, I am meant to work for this promotion because they were already on my radar. Then they reached out to me and I went there. We had a great time, a great match. I went up against Relentless Ray Larson. Love
Ooh,
her.
I haven't. Oh my god, I haven't worked with her for years. Oh my
She's
gosh.
great. Yeah, and
Will you speak to her?
she's
Tell her dudes at ringside says hi. Tell her Joe wants to have her back on, and
oh
tell
I
her
will.
February's Women's Wrestling Month. Definitely would like to feature her again.
Yeah, she's very sportsmanlike, and that's what I loved about her. Like, um, I'm not gonna give away the match, but afterwards she came up and she gave me a hug, and I was like, I've never had an opponent come up and hug me afterwards. And like that
Mm,
just goes to show the level of respect between two good athletes, you know. And I'm like, you're just she's great. So we had a really good night.
that's that's the thing I like about wrestling. At the end of a match or backstage after a match, when you're two coming back through the curtain, most time it's just like, okay, done. Gonna go get my sweatpants on and my hoodie on and go have my dinner and just so sit in the corner. You
Mm-hmm.
two ladies hugged, and it
Yeah.
wrestling is real. You know what I mean? Like the relationship between two wrestlers showing that they did this and it does not matter. Both of us are still people and humans, and we have feelings, and we know it's a thing. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, like so much respect for good sportsmanship. Because I was an athlete through high school and it was always drained in our heads by our coach to be just sportsmanlike, regardless of who's winning, who's losing. Like you don't need to be dirty about it.
Yeah.
So um that's why it's so much respect to her.
That's that again. That's my favorite part. You guys, at the end of the match, you guys actually embraced. You didn't like just say, "Oh, you bye, see you later." I'll take my envelope and go home.
Mhm.
You guys actually embraced, and that's the good part about
Yeah,
it.
and it took me a little off guard because she hit me. Oh no, oh, I'm not gonna give it away. I gotta keep stopping myself.
When it's out, send me the thing on Instagram. I want to watch it. I want to watch it.
Okay, I'm just gonna say it took me off guard because I was a little hurt after, like not emotionally hurt, but like hurt afterwards. So I was trying to get out of the ring, and I felt something on my shoulder, and I turned around, and she's like right there, giving me a hug, like you know, offering support. Like she felt bad that I was like feeling a little, you know, hurt from it. So, great. It was just, I love it. I love her. She's
Awesome.
awesome.
Have you since like now that you're not green, do you when you like most newer reps like now you're not so new? Do you have like do you get a chance to get it more? You feel like the now that you're not so new that promoters now look for you more than you look for them to go book?
Um, I think it's still a mixture of both. Um, because there's places that are looking to expand their women's division, and it's kind of like whoever finds who first. Sometimes they'll reach out to me. Sometimes I'll catch wind of it and reach out to them because I am aware, you know, I am still, like I said, less than 5 years. I'm less than 4 years.
Wow.
So I'm only really, I've only been doing matches for 2.5 years. So I can't call myself not green because I'm still green. I'm just not as green, you know.
Kermit the Frog would be jealous.
So,
You're not that green. You know,
so,
it's funny. It's so funny. We're both. You could say this. You have two green people in the. Even though I've been doing this podcast for 4 years, I still feel greener than Slimer. Slimer looks at me right now as I have pops in front of me, and Slimer looks at me and goes, "Look at this guy.
yeah,
Looks like a frog. looks like
but
a
they,
calls himself a panther, but he's really a frog." Like,
yeah, but they, so yeah, so it's like if I find them first or they find me first, you know, sometimes they'll reach out to me and say, "Hey, we're looking to expand our women's division," or sometimes I'll reach out to them and be like, "Hey, I'm looking to debut in new places. Now that I'm feeling like more confident in the ring, I'm starting to do that more. I didn't do that as much before because being green the way I was, I, to be honest, lacked some of that self confidence. I would get super nervous in the ring, and then I'd be afraid that I'm going to mess up. And I was afraid that, um, I was so nervous about messing up that it would cause me to mess up, if that makes sense. So I really hunkered down this past summer and I did the Control Your Narrative 6-month training course here in Cleveland with EC3 and Matt Roby, and they kicked my butt into shape. And I say,
mm.
like, I feel so much more confident in the ring now, though. So it's a great feeling, you know, being on the other side of it now.
Do you bring merch with you to the show, or do you like don't do it all the time?
No, I bring merch to my shows with me. Yeah. Right now I don't have any available online. It is only able to be purchased in person.
Okay. Before we go, I've been me being a local podcaster, as you jokingly say, local podcaster with a satellite dish on my roof. If there's a local business that you go with your family or with friends after the show, what would that place be?
Oh, a coffee shop. Hands
Which
down.
which local place from your area you want to give a shout out to tonight?
Yeah, I don't even have to think about that one because I'm a sucker for a good latte, a good cup of coffee. It could be, I'm probably gonna have a cup after we hang up and it's 8:30 at night. Like I love it. So we have a great local one in our area called Arabica Coffee Shop, and they have fabulous lattes, and they do a homemade tiramisu that
Ooh.
they sell as well. And it is like the fluff. I mean, it's like this thick. It is the fluffiest tiramisu I've ever had. And they'll sprinkle a little bit of like their coffee in the cake. It gets me every
Do they
time.
have stickers? Because if you do, you gotta send me one of their stickers so I can stick it back here in the background.
I'll check next time I'm in there and see. They actually have a spot in their coffee shop where people can put their stickers on the wall. So that's pretty
I
cool that you
gotta,
brought that up.
I gotta get more stickers, and I'll mail you. We could do a merch trade. If I have any T-shirts, I'll grab a T-shirt of mine and just toss it in a bag. Be like,
Yeah,
here,
a sticker swap.
yeah, I could get one of your shirts. So pretty much if my fans want any of your merch, they could just message you and tell with sizes and everything.
Yeah. Message me if they want any merch. You know, I've got 8x10s, I've got shirts. Actually, the shirts, so as Chelsea the mother, my shirts say I'm a mother lover, and they're really, people love that. So
I
uh
would wear that with pride. Be like, my mom would be like, "Oh God, Randy, you and your women's
everybody
wrestling."
says that same thing. I love it. And that's why I'm like, that's why it's fun. They're fun. Um I just haven't put them online yet because I was still kind of locking in designs, and I want to build a page. Like I said, I want to do things right. So I don't want to just throw something up there half-assed just to have it there. Like I want to wait till it looks good to my satisfaction before I put stuff out there.
Yes, definitely. Before we go, if there was any inspiring like males or females that or their thems, if they wanted to get into the business, what kind of advice would you give them?
Have thick skin. That's the best advice that I would tell anyone before you even step 1 foot into that ring. Be prepared, because this business, as fun and as amazing and exciting as it is, it's also brutal. And you have to have thick skin or you're not going to make it. Like, down to, if you're in the ring and someone accidentally stiffs you, if you take that personally, you got to have thick skin before, like, if you want to. It's a very cutthroat business on top of it too, so you just, um there's times that even I have, like, felt like I'm, like, defeated, and I'm like, no, you got to keep going, you got to keep pushing through, and you got to have that mindset. You got to be mentally strong, and be able to talk yourself through some situations that you'll find yourself in the business. So it's so much more than just training, just getting in the ring and just taking bumps and hitting people, like, there's so much more to it. And that's like hard part, step one, to get through. So then, like, the mental battle after that, people don't talk about that a lot, and I'm totally okay bringing awareness to that. So you definitely have to have thick skin if you want to, um, even kind of start to think about making it in this business.
Yeah. I want to thank you so much for coming back on the podcast. Please tell your wrestling friends about Dudes at Ringside, and
Hmm.
please tell your friends. And I want to wish you best of luck on your wrestling journey. Thank you so much again. I am Joe Panther the Third,
Thank you. Thank you for
and
having me back.
this is the mother of wrestling, and we will catch you in the next one.